Another big one for Adam Hose and his 16th T20 Blast 50.
Leg side. Oh, he slipped.
Can't believe you're making me watch this. Can't believe you're making me watch this.
Hoyt, leg side. Oh, he slipped. And he's hurt himself.
How does it feel watching that moment back again?
It does feel a bit strange. Felt my heart rate just elevate a fraction. Obviously, it was a very difficult time. Those first few days, and obviously moving into the next few months. But I haven't watched it back too often. I tried to avoid it for a good while, but a little bit more at peace with it now.
What sort of emotions come to you when you watch it and you see that clip again?
Yeah, again, I feel my heart rate go up again. Just it brings back a lot. I think when I initially did the injury, obviously the pain was quite substantial, but all my emotions sort of so much was going through my mind at the time. Thinking about family, thinking about a little boy, all that stuff, and that's what I was quite teary about. I think in that exact moment, it wasn't the pain or what had happened. It was just, I guess, the shock and everything. There's so much to take in. So yeah, very emotional few moments, I guess.
And it's something that you have been able to watch since, but not straight afterwards. Is that right?
Yeah, first few weeks I sort of stayed well away from it. First few months, to be fair. But I got to a point where I kind of felt like I should probably address it and watch it. And like I said, although it doesn't bring back some overly pleasant emotions now, I'm fine with it. I can watch it. Yeah.
Let's start from the beginning. So prior to that day last August, you're all going well. Things are looking good. You've had a decent summer up until that point. Things were pretty rosy up until then, weren't they?
Yeah, it's been a really nice season, I guess, from a personal point of view, putting in some solid performances in all formats and contributing pretty regularly. So, I was it was a good place. As I said earlier, sort of the arrival of a little boy, which was amazing. And I was absolutely loving that time at home with him and the family. So, yeah, things were going well, and unfortunately an incident like this occurred, which, you have setbacks in sport, and look back on it now and all seems a bit strange, and I can't describe it at that time in the moment. It was like an out of body experience. I kind of looked down at my foot and thought that's not overly good. And if you actually watch it back, I tried to get up and get off the pitch, and it was at that point I realised I was in a bit more trouble than I probably initially thought. But yeah.
What, from that moment, people that maybe haven't seen it or haven't watched it for whatever reason, what actually do you remember? Your ball's coming towards you. Just talk us through exactly how that moment happened in the build-up to the actual injury.
Yeah, so I was just at long on. I fielded sort of fairly regularly in those boundary positions in white ball cricket. So I was just doing sort of long on to long off. Just any other day, just sort of looking around the crowd in between balls and taking in the moment. And one of my good friends, Michael Bracewell, hit that sort of back of a length ball into the gap between me and I think it was Joe Root at mid-wicket, and sort of sprinted as quick as I could to try and cut it off. But as the ball pitched, it spun. And it was at that moment that I put the brakes on to try and slow down to get in line with the ball, and the front or back or whatever leg it was slipped, and the back one just anchored and got into a really nasty position, and obviously all the weight went through that leg and ankle, and initially that noise was keeping me up for a good couple of weeks. I was waking in the middle of the night hearing the noise that it made. Obviously I didn't stop the fall, which is annoying, but had some bigger issues on my plate. But those are sort of the initial sort of feelings and thoughts. I would have fielded that ball thousands of times throughout my career. It just happened to be that one time that things go wrong, and that's the way it can go, unfortunately, sometimes. Again, I remember trying to get up and then looking down and thinking, I'm in a bit of trouble here. and then the next thing I know, I've got the physio trance sort of by my head, sort of stabilising and talking to me, and I've got the doc at the bottom of my foot. I remember sort of looking up and him doing a signal, which I think is for the stretcher, and then what I remember next is him just saying, you know, this is going to hurt, and I think that's when he put the ankle back in place. And then sort of those few moments after, the paramedics, and I remember they put the screen around me, and just looking up and seeing, you know, some of the Southern Brave boys and the Trent lads sort of looking down, sort of shielding, which was obviously a really nice touch from them boys. But yeah, the paramedics sort of trying to shove gas and air in my mouth, and me kind of going, no, I'll be all right, I'm fine. But then quickly realising that, yeah, probably was required. Obviously stretchered. I don't know why. I remember hearing a clap, but thinking I'm a footballer and giving the little wave to everyone, which was quite a bizarre thing to do in the moment. But yeah, it just felt like a complete out of body experience for me. You know, sort of looking back now, I mentioned about the pain, and obviously that was a factor, but there was just so much for me to process at the time that it wasn't the first thing, you know, that first place my brain went to.
So when you're off the pitch and you made your way into A&E, what was the actual diagnosis? Could you just let us know exactly what it was that happened?
Yeah, so I think everything that probably could have gone wrong went wrong in terms of the diagnosis. So fractured both the tibia and the fibula, ruptured the ligaments through the side of my ankle, obviously dislocation. And I think the fractures were fairly complex, so the surgery required a fair bit of attention. But I saw a fantastic surgeon down in London a few days after the event, and he took really great care of me.
So you touched on it then. The first thing that kind of came to your mind was family and the little one.
Yeah.
How much did that play on your mind in the days after, I suppose, when things had kind of calmed down a little bit and you were kind of realisation that you know what's happening, you know what's going to be coming up with the operation, the surgery? How much was that, I guess, a little bit of a silver lining in a way that you had that too, and your family were close and nearby to be able to spend that time with you?
Yeah, I think the first few days, you know, you're still in a fair bit of shock and still trying to process a lot of things. So my wife and my mum and dad came up to London to see me just before the surgery, so that was really nice to see them. And then, yeah, it was about 3 days after the injury that I had the surgery, and was back home on the 4th day. And it was obviously great to be back home with them and seeing the little boy. But if I'm being honest, that was something I did really struggle with, because, you know, I had a 4-month-old, and you know, I couldn't be there for him. I couldn't be a dad, and that is really tough in itself. You know, I was in so much pain for the majority of the day, that, you know, being with him was really hard, and that played on with my mind a lot, and that was a really big challenge. But I guess as the days and the weeks go by, you know, that became a bit easier, and thankfully I was able to spend a lot more time with him. And getting into about the 6 to 8 week mark, I was my dad hired me a mobility scooter, so I was pinging around the village on that, which was great, and we could go out for rides and walks, and obviously it was autumn then, so it was really nice to be out and about. But yeah, obviously things like this are never ideal, you know, injuries, long-term injuries, but I guess you've got to try and look and stay as positive as you can. And I think the one positive thing that for me that really stood out was, if I was away, you know, playing cricket in the winter, I wouldn't have necessarily had loads of time with him and see him grow and develop each day, so I'm very thankful for that.
Whilst you were injured and you were enjoying that period as much as you could have done with the little one and with your partner as well and your family around you, there was cricket obviously was being missed, and that's, you know, the reason why we're here. The lads from Worcestershire obviously were in the middle of a Metrobank One Day Cup run, ended up in the final,
yeah.
Ironically back at the ground where this all sort of happened to prevent you from playing that game.
Yeah.
What was it like being away from cricket, but also being away from cricket at a time where the group were doing really well and prospering really nicely?
It was tough, I'm not going to lie, you know. I think the first few weeks it was almost like the last thing that was on my mind. It was nice because the 100 was still going on and I could follow the guys in the One Day Cup as well, but almost I just wanted to be quite far away from cricket at that time. So it probably wasn't until I was in, you know, a bit more comfort that I was able to track and watch it a bit more closely. And obviously when that final came around at Trent Bridge, I was on crutches, hopping around in a boot, and obviously similar to the captain, we call each other the Crutch Brothers, and we were there supporting and chucking our crutches around when Henry hit the winning runs. And you know, I look back then, it's such a special moment for everyone involved in the club, and for Henry to hit the winning runs, and you know, for Waity and Henry to look down at the badge and think about Bakes. It was really special and a really emotional moment. So yeah, I was obviously absolutely chuffed and over the moon for everyone, and it was really cool that I was able to be there for that. Yeah, obviously it's been a really long process now, just trying to think back to those early days. And I think that the first sort of 2-3 weeks, you know, I was obviously in a lot of discomfort, and I was just trying to have a bit of pain management. But every sort of initially 3 or 4 days, I was going down to London and seeing the surgeon, and we were checking things over, and then it would move to a week. And then after about a month, he said, right, you know, great progress, everything's going as well as we would have hoped. And he was like, right, I'll see you in 4 weeks. And at that point, I sort of felt like I just hit a brick wall. You know, I had sort of little goals sort of to keep me ticking along each day, to get the pain down and keep infection away. And then all of a sudden he's like, right, great, like, see you in a month. And I was like, wow, that's a long time. And it kind of hit me quite hard, to be honest with you. But I guess, you know, sort of just battled through that period. And then once we saw him again, he was, you know, talking about able to start easing into a bit of rehab. And you know, Paolo was with me every step of that journey, the physio here, and he was great, and him and Chris have been fantastic since. So yeah, the early days were challenging, and again, you're still coming across obstacles now. You know, I'm back pretty much doing everything possible, but we have to manage it sort of, you know, on a daily occurrence. But yeah, everyone here, Richo especially, has been fantastic, and you know, the boys actually, everyone chipped in for a little meal. We had a private chef come over in those early days after about 3 weeks of me doing the injury. Everyone in the dressing room chipped in, and it was just a really nice touch to remind me that everyone was thinking of me. And I think that's what makes Worcester the club it is. You know, everyone thinking and caring about each other, and yeah, very grateful for that. You know, I've been very fortunate to play in a lot of dressing rooms and play for a lot of teams through my career. And you know, this one, everyone talks about, you know, trying to make places family, but this one, it's not something we sort of actually chase. It's very authentic and organic, and it's hard to put a reason on why that is, but it's just what happens. And yeah, I now obviously feel very grateful for being in the position I am here.
So let's kick on. We've been through, you know, the sort of deep ends of it, and we've been through kind of the tough times. When was the first time you were able to think, okay, the main bit of rehab is done, you were able to think about cricket again for the first time and getting back to playing cricket again?
So it was around just before Christmas I actually had my first hit. So you know, at that time, sort of start December, we were building back up into running and spending a bit more time on my feet. And I don't think hitting would have necessarily been a big issue, but it's just something that I haven't really done. I didn't really feel necessary at the time. My focus was kind of elsewhere. But I had a good hit before Christmas, and it gave me a lot of confidence. You know, I came away being in no pain.
What was that? Was that relief? Was that excitement? What was the emotion when you come away from that almost unscathed?
Yeah, I think initially you're sort of quite sceptical on how it might go and a little bit nervous, and then once I got back into it, facing the sidearm, facing bowlers, it's like, wow, you know, like it gives you a lot of confidence, because there's so many times, especially during the early days, where your mind goes to, you know, career-threatening stuff, and you're like, wow, like this just got such a long road ahead. And then you fast forward a few months, and the body's done its thing, and you know, you've worked every day sort of tirelessly to try and get back to a position where you hope that that's not going to be the option. And you know, I think when you get to certain phases throughout a long-term injury, it just gives you a little bit more confidence, and then each day you can kind of tick along. But yeah, I think when I got back hitting and then got back running, it was just, yeah, a really welcomed relief, to be honest with you. Yeah, obviously integrating back into the team was great. You know, injuries in themselves, especially long-term ones, can feel really isolating at times. I mean, you're doing, you know, a lot of work by yourself, and just you and the physio and maybe the S&C. But to be able to get, you know, we play a team sport. You know, it's probably my favourite part about playing cricket, is that I get to enjoy it with the team. So to be not able to do that for such a long time is tough. But yeah, when I got back sort of integrated into with the boys back in sort of January, that was really welcomed. And yeah, I guess from that point onwards, always just have sort of one eye on, you know, pre-season trip, and wanting to play sort of games during that period. So we're building in the really right direction, and are hoping to be able to play some cricket sort of mid-March time when we go away.
Has it given you a bit of a sense of gratitude to be able to do what you do, having been through what you've been through, to be able to then step back on the field in mid-March when that comes around? Do you think there'll be a sense of appreciation for it a little bit more?
Yeah, I think perspective in sport and in life is really important, isn't it? You know, you have setbacks in life, and I think how you move forward with it is the really important part. So, you know, I guess first of all, I'm going to have a great perspective on my career. I think for the rest of, hopefully, I don't go through anything like I have done for the first few months. And I guess, yeah, just I wouldn't say I had the wrong perspective in any way, but I think it's just given me a greater mindset for what I do, for the people around me, with my family, because, you know, they were such an important and integral part of those early stages, and that journey through the early part of the injury. So yeah, always going to be very grateful for that. And yes, obviously it feels like it's not too far away now, you know. What are we, nearly in March, and then you get away on pre-season, and then the season's here before you know it. So yeah, I think just pretty excited now.
Vice captain of this group, your senior figure within the squad. What sort of goals, targets, ambitions? What makes this year a good level for you as a Worcestershire player, but you as an individual as well?
I think we haven't spoken about it in great deal. There's not many lads around at the moment, but we should be targeting promotion, absolutely, without a doubt. And I think that's well within our grasp. You know, I think we've played some really good cricket over the last couple of years in Div 1, and I think it's taught us a lot of lessons. But if we're being completely honest with ourselves, at times we haven't grabbed opportunities with both hands, and we've let them slip, and I think we've learnt a lot of lessons from that. So I think moving into this year, it will put us in a good place, and hopefully we can regain Division 1 status come the end of the year. But obviously white ball cricket as well is very important for the club. I think we've made two fantastic overseas signings in Osama Mir and Sikandar Raza. So obviously Dorsch is going to be a big miss, but Sikandar is a fantastic replacement for that. So we should be challenging on all fronts through the white ball formats as well.
And I guess on a bit of a wider scale, how nice is it as someone that's played a lot of franchise cricket as well, to be able to say that you're available, fully fit to go on all formats in 2026?
Yeah, again, I haven't really, over the last sort of 3-4 years, you know, had a period in the winter where I've just been at home and training, and although it's not in ideal circumstances, it's given me a lot of hunger and a lot of desire moving into this year. So I've always, whatever game I play, you know, whatever top I'm wearing, I'm going to give it the best I can, whatever format for, you know, whichever team. So yeah, like I said, just really hungry and really excited about the coming season.